Interesting.
भगवती तव तीरे नीरमात्रशनोऽहम् भगवती तव तीरे नीरमात्रशनोऽहम् विगतविषयतृष्णा कृष्णमाराधयामि विगतविषयतृष्णा कृष्णमाराधयामि सकलकलुषभङ्गे स्वर्गसोपानसङ्गे सकलकलुषभङ्गे स्वर्गसोपानसङ्गे तरलतरतरङ्गे देवी गंगे प्रसीद 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 नमामि गंगे नमामि गंगे स्वर्ग की परछाइयाँ दिखती तेरे आंचल तले माँ तेरी हर बूंद में बहती हुई ममता मिले तू हथेली तन पे फेरे मन को भी निर्मल करे जिस तरह को तू छुए जीवन से उसको सींच दे लेके आया है कोई बस पाप तुझको सौंपने फिर भी तू बहती चले सबको लगा करके गले स्वाद अमृत का तुझे ही चूम कर जाना प्रसीद 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 नमामि गंगे 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 पानी जो तेरा खारा तेरे आंसू की धारा कैसे मैं देखूं संतान हो माना है तुझे माँ ये धर्म है मेरा मैं तुझे तेरा वो सम्मान दूं नमामि
Good morning, everyone. This is Harshal Desai from Elit's Technomedia Private Limited. Welcome you all again in the next panel discussion which we are going to organize, which are going to conduct now. at the second edition of Water and Sanitation Innovation Summit today on 18th March on this wonderful virtual platform. This panel discussion is on sustainable water management, conservation and rejuvenation. And we are very glad to inform everyone that we have got support of several eminent speakers and leaders from across the country today for this panel discussion, who are going to speak in this panel discussion on this forum. I welcome everyone, all the esteemed panelists today in this panel discussion. I will like to introduce all the esteemed panelists to the audience who are watching us live on our social media platforms and on our website. We have Mr. Ashok Kumar Singh, Executive Director, Projects, National Mission for Clean Ganga, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India. Welcome, Mr. Ashok Kumar Singh, in this panel discussion. We have Mr. G.C. Pati, Chairman, Central Groundwater Board, GCWB, Government of India. I welcome Mr. Pati also in this program. We have from Rajasthan, Mr. Naveen Mahajan, Principal Secretary, Water Resources, Indira Gandhi Canal Agriculture Command Area Development and Water Utility, Government of Rajasthan. Welcome, Mr. Mahajan, in this panel discussion. We have Mr. Nicholas Osbert, Chief Water Sanitation and Hygiene, that is also abbreviated as WASH, WASH, UNICEF India. Welcome, Mr. Osbert, in this panel discussion. We have Mr. R.P. Singh, Executive Director, Health Safety HSSE, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, BPCL. And we have Mr. Rashid Triffi, Area Sales Manager, Autograph GmbH, a German organization. Welcome everyone in this show. We will start this panel discussion by seeking your opening remark on the subject, which is sustainable water management, conservation and rejuvenation. I will seek your opinion on the subject in about 3 to 5 minutes, and then I will like to ask other questions related to the subject to all the esteemed panelists. So I would first go to Mr. Ashok Kumar Singh, Executive Director, Projects, National Mission for Clean Ganga, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India, for his opening remark.
Thank you, Arshal, and my esteemed panel members for today's discussion. Since only 3 to 5 minutes time has been given, I would just like to give you a framework on which the Government of India is working. We all know that the safe water is required. Safe water is required for the drinking purpose and also for the economy purpose, for the agriculture and industry. And you will surprised to know that the demand side water management and supply side water management till 2019 were dealt by the 3 different ministries. Dam side water resources ministry, then drinking water, it used to be under rural development ministry, and then rejuvenation part used to be under MOEF. So all these 3 fragmentation of the water management has been now done away with, and we have an integrated ministry, and that is Ministry of Jal Shakti. So that is one of the massive paradigm shift which has taken recently in nation, in the country, towards the water management. Second thing is about access to the water. That we all know that Jal Jeevan Mission has been launched, focusing on the rural side, and that is towards the drinking water access. It's a massive mission with a 2.7 lakhs crores of budget outlay, with the objective of giving the piped water supply to all the rural households by 2024. And then we have this Namami Gange program, which was launched in 2015 to rejuvenate the Ganga and its tributaries. So this is also a massive program where more than 30,000 crores worth of projects are either have been sanctioned, and out of 156 projects, 56 projects are already completed, and this year we are likely to complete another 35-40 projects. So this is going to be a massive change in a way we treat our wastewater and make the river cleaner for the better use of water. So these are the three things. Then on the importance of this water management, you will surprised to know that our Prime Minister has written to all the Panchayat presidents, Gram Panchayat president, to have a water plan, personal letters have a water plan in 7 lakhs odd Gram Panchayats, whatever we have, 6 lakhs Gram Panchayats. So this is the top level of framework in which we are all operating. And if we know that management of water is basically supply and demand. If we can meet our supply and demand, that's it. There is nothing more than that. So if we see the drinking water side, the one of the area which is mostly neglected. We all want a water supply scheme, but one of the area which is mostly neglected is NRW, that is non-renewable water, non-revenue water, which means the water either goes as a leakages or we do not get any recovery. And you will surprised to know that in Japan, the NRW is hardly 2 to 3%, while in our country and even in the Europe and UK, it is in the range of say 35% to 40%. So basically, the way we deal with the NRW has to improve, and it's a every day this much water is getting wasted. So NRW has to be now brought into the mainstream, and this requires the metering and then DMA and other activities to be taken up. On the agriculture side, we know that the demand management is the main thing, where we should not only enhance the efficiency of our agriculture, but also switch over to the crops which are taking less water, and organic farming, which basically prevents the further deterioration of our water resources. And on the industry side, the major issue is the pricing of our water, and then the partnership which the government of India has thought of in reducing the water consumption by making accessible or available the latest technology. This is in general, and then this is in particular, and then general the campaign program for people participation through the campaigns like Catch the Rain, and then rejuvenation of the local water bodies. These are some of the programs through which we are trying to have a source sustainability and water supply increased. This is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, for sharing your opinion and your updating us and the audience on the various initiatives. So, would like to ask you one question, that Clean Ganga Mission is working in collaboration with various other departments also, including be it agriculture or Ayush. How these kind of collaborations are benefiting the mission, and how is the support you are getting from other national and international multinational companies also towards the projects?
I didn't get your question completely. Can you please repeat?
Yes, sir. So Clean Ganga Mission is also working in collaboration with various other departments of the central governments, be it agriculture or Ayush, right? And so just wanted to know how these collaborations are benefiting the mission.
Yes, you have raised a very Clean Ganga Mission it's not just a cleaning of the river. It's basically about the rejuvenation of the river. So rejuvenation of the river happens only when we look at the river basin management, whereby not only you have a river clean, but also ensure that there is a water in the river. And we all know that the water extraction for the purpose of agriculture is the highest, followed by industry, and then the last is drinking water. And then so therefore, if we have to increase the water in the river, we have to reduce the consumption in all the sectors. So thereby the agriculture collaboration is very important to enhance the efficiency of the water, that is a more crop per drop, and then also to ensure that we shift towards the sustainable agriculture, we shift towards the crops which requires less of water, and organic farming, so that the water sources are not polluted further. So therefore, when we see the cleaning of river, it is a holistic. We also need a rejuvenation of. We also look out for the agriculture demand management, and that's very important partnership there.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashok Kumar Singh. I would, of course, be coming to you again in the next round with next question. However, now I would like to request Mr. Naveen Mahajan, who has joined us from Rajasthan, is Principal Secretary, Water Resources, Indira Gandhi Canal Agriculture, Command Area Development and Water Utility. Sir, what are the latest initiatives you are undertaking in the state of Rajasthan?
Good morning, everybody. And I thank ELITS for giving me an opportunity to be part of today's conference. I don't know how many panelists or the audience they are familiar with the broad water scenario in Rajasthan. So when we talk about Rajasthan, we are possibly talking about the most water distressed state of the country. We just have about 1% surface water resource and a little over 1% groundwater resource. And if we talk about the geographical area, we are the biggest state in the country with over 10% of India's geographical area. So you can very well see statistically also the mismatch. Now, if I talk about surface water, a very challenging feature on water resources that 50% of my surface water, it comes to the state via interstate agreements. So I get more than 50% of my surface water from the neighboring states as part of interstate water agreements. Now that places my water security even at a great peril, because it's a very precarious situation. You have adequate waters in the upstream states, you get adequate water. But when it's inadequate rainfall, the dams are not full. So obviously a major chunk of inadequacies, they get passed to the tail end. And Rajasthan is at the tail end of all these interstate conveyance channels. So it's a very precarious kind of a scenario. Now, when I come to groundwater, in terms of quantity, I told you it's about 1.5%. If I talk about quality, fluoride, nitrate, salinity, it takes care of more than 70% of my groundwater. And then about 80% of the groundwater in Rajasthan, it's not in safe zone. So on groundwater front also, the scenario, it's quite bleak. So it's all the more important against this kind of a backdrop that we invest heavily in sustainable water management. So what we are doing, we are trying to look at how we can go about refixing the projects which we took in the earlier decades, plug the leakages, and improve water use efficiencies, and also attempt a shift from conventional farm practices, which is primarily flow irrigation, to much more efficient irrigation, which is based on drip and sprinkler. So the state government has taken a conscious call. It's a policy decision that all irrigation projects, medium, major, minor, henceforth, they'll be only on pressurized pipe mechanism. So there'll be no flow irrigation now promoted by the state government. And to also ensure that there is a shift which happens at the ground level in the earlier projects from flow irrigation to micro irrigation, we have come up with our own set of incentives. So we are providing top-up subsidies to the farmers in our command areas, which are over and above the subsidies which the state government or the central government it provides, so that farmers, they start embracing these more farm efficient, water efficient practices. Now, that is a major focus in our state. On rehabilitation, what we have done, our IGNP system, the Indira Gandhi Nehar project, now it's one of the largest irrigation projects of independent India. To just give an idea, we irrigate about 16 lakh hectares from this IGNP system, and 7,500 villages, they get their drinking water from IGNP system, apart from 50 cities. So it's a huge mammoth system which is of great relevance in western part of Rajasthan, which is primarily part of Thar Desert. Now we have undertaken comprehensively rehabilitation of the IGNP system, whereby the depleted main canal, the feeder canals, with the scientific approach, we have identified where our major leakages are. The system, it was initiated in 1960s, so it's a very old system, about 6 decades old, urgently in need of renovation and restoration. So 2000 crores worth projects with the government of India, we have initiated in IGNP belt, and the idea is that we save cusick days, we save all these leakages, prevent waterlogging, improve and augment the badly compromised carrying capacities of our channels and feeder canals. So all this will take care of the IGNP system. And then a very interesting thing which we have attempted in the state, we have 2 basins, fortunately, which are water surplus. So one is the Chambal water, and second is the Sabarmati basin in southern Rajasthan. So what we are attempting is intra-basin water transfers. So water from these surplus basins, through conveyance mechanisms, we are attempting to bring them over to handle deficits in water deficient areas. So that will now create new opportunities for investment, for agriculture, for drinking water to the water scarce districts. So these intra-basin transfers, in a big way, they are being supported politically by the government of the day, and we are executing 2 key projects on intra-basin water transfers. Then we are invoking technology in a big way to improve our water use efficiencies. We are modernizing our dams. So we have partnered with the World Bank to restore all our key dams, automize them, and also get their safety audits done. The idea again is that each drop of water, it counts, and technology, not only at the dam level, but also at the command level, in our irrigation systems through SCADA and other techniques which are available through scientific algorithms. So we are ensuring that transparency comes at the field level in water distribution, and we make the water count for all the stakeholders, be it from industry or from drinking water or from the cultivator perspective. So largely, these are the kind of initiatives we are doing in Rajasthan to ensure sustainability in management of our water resources.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahajan, for sharing your opinion on this forum. And yes, we are aware that Rajasthan has a scarcity when it comes to water, and we need very brilliant management techniques and technologies there to manage it all for the entire state. Now I'll go to Mr. G.C. Pati, Chairman, Central Groundwater Board, Government of India. Sir, I request you for your opening remark, and also brief us on how does CGWB contribute towards the sustainable water management, conservation, and rejuvenation.
Thank you. I initially congratulate the organizers and also thank ALETS for giving me this opportunity for talking on this. All my co-panelists, very good morning, and all the erudite participants. Today's topic, that is your sustainable water management, rejuvenation, conservation. It is so contemporary. We are facing so much of problems nowadays. Already, if you see that already we have entered the water scarcity, water stress condition, and the business as usual condition will take us to the water scarce condition by 2050. But if you see, we are having only about 4% of the water resources of the world, with which India has to manage about 17% of the population. Naturally, to feed this many population with the change in lifestyle, etc., our water demand is rising. But particularly, as you said, since I'm looking after the groundwater, let us just consider what is the contribution of groundwater. If you see that the total water availability of India as of now is 1122 BCM, out of which 432 BCM is only groundwater and 690 BCM is surface water. Even after that, the groundwater contributes to more than 62% of the irrigation requirements, and about 85% of the drinking water needs, and 50% of the urban water needs. And again, we see the groundwater's contribution is about 9% to the GDP. The most important paradox is that though all the importance was given to improve the reservoirs, to make so many dams, etc., but the irrigated area which has been added in the last 4 to 5 decades, 80% of that is from groundwater. That is the greatest paradox. And again, groundwater has become the most preferred resource because of so many reasons. It is available everywhere. The ease of access, the independence of use, economy, and all these factors have made it the preferred source, and also has its adverse impact on the resource, both in volume wise and also the quality wise. As of now, we have about 17% of our groundwater resource assessment units are overexploited, and another about 5 to 7% are critical. And if you see the water quality condition, in most part of India, major parts of India, we are having groundwater where we have one or more chemical constituents which exceeds the their limit for the different uses, prescribed for different uses. So under these circumstances, the need of the hour is the sustainable management. So how it can be done? There are two ways. One is the demand side management, and the other is the supply side management. Up till now, we are focusing on the supply side management. Though exactly we will not say it is supply side management, because mostly water is developed, it is not never managed, and the water is drawn based on the demand. We do not see what is the availability. Only where it is the demand is there, water is withdrawn. That is the greatest problem. But anyway, now a lot of measures are being taken up for going for the supply side and demand side management. So as far as the supply side management is there are so many efforts by different ministries. As initially the ED projects were talking from NMCG, several efforts were being made by different departments as far as the augmentation of the groundwater resources. Exactly, they are not doing this for augmentation, they are doing some other activities. The byproduct was the augmentation of the water resources, just like the watershed development projects. Then we can consider about the MG Narega, which was previously being constructing certain assets which were contributing to groundwater augmentation. But now, but the last 2-3 years, with the involvement of the ministry and with the involvement of speech from the Prime Minister, now about 70% of the assets which are being created, 70% of the resources which are being utilized in MG and REGA is being used for creating assets in the water sector, and that is contributing to a lot of extent for enhancement of the water resources. Besides that, many of our state governments, they have also taken up several measures for augmenting their water resources. And since we have the principal secretary from Rajasthan already, that one of the programs from that Mukhyamantri Jal Swavalamban Yojana is being implemented in Rajasthan, and similarly in other places also. As far as CSW is concerned, since I'm talking on this, I'll say that now CSW in many places, in most of the blocks, they are contributing to this effect, that though we do not provide funds particularly to these effects, but we provide the technical assistance. We go for site selection, we give the designs and all other things, which is being implemented by the state government agencies, which is helping the augmentation of water sources. Then we have our own schemes, which is of course in a limited scale, where we are going for pilot projects. We are implementing certain projects. We are demonstrating to the states that these type of projects can enhance the water resources, and we are actually advocating that the states follow similar best practices so that the water conservation can be there. Then
Thank
comes
you.
yeah, Nakib, that's what I'm telling.
Yeah.
So
please go.
yeah. One other thing is that the National Aquifer Mapping Program, which is being done by Central Government Board, around we are having our state's nation's geographical area is around 33 lakh square kilometers, out of which the about 25 lakh square kilometers are mappable. Out of that, we have already covered about 15.5 lakh square kilometers, and we are going to cover the rest of the area by March 2023. Here, what we do is we not only map the aquifers, we not only designate their characters or give the 3D pictures. Simultaneously, we also give a management plan where we advocate for each of the units what are the different demand and supply side management measures to be taken up, so that it will improve the groundwater situation there. There, the exact numbers of say, artificial recharge structures, their types and designs, though not at the implementable scale, maybe BDRs are not there, but it is being mentioned there. And it is also mentioned how much of water, groundwater, will be enhanced by carrying out such activities. Similarly, also, we advocate for the demand side measures in those areas, how to reduce the water requirement in the agricultural sectors. Mostly that is the main aim of the studies. We advocate for changing trapping pattern wherever is needed, or going for some other means of water conservation, so that the groundwater repository will be benefiting. And in worst cases, we also advocate that certain crops which are not supposed to be grown in this type of areas should actually be shifted to some other places. That is only advocacy. Of course, for implementation, it requires a lot of other measures. So similarly, now we have also prepared a master plan on artificial recharge that is being finalized now, which will be circulated to all the state government agencies, the line departments, and everybody, which will be helping as a guiding document for taking up these artificial recharge measures for enhancing the water resources. So similarly, also we are taking up in a limited scale now. We are having a plan in Rajasthan and Haryana, and elsewhere also. Later it will be increased. We'll be taking up certain pilot projects on our own, and also we are going to prepare one EFC where some central sector scheme can come for funding such type of augmentation measures throughout India, which may help. So besides this, also the regulation, which is also very important for actually sustainable management. Some efforts have been made. We are having a guidelines where certain measures have been taken so that the industries will have on their own will reduce their water requirements, because that type of measures have been there. Some punitive measures and some incentives are also there, so which may help them, because as we know, the even water footprint for industrial production in India is also is very high among the world. And also we are having a telescopic water tariff structure as far as the area is concerned, though not volume is concerned. So this will help in future in the sustainable water management conservation. Okay,
Right.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Abhishek.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. G.C. Pati, Chairman, CGWB, Government of India. Great to know all these initiatives that your organization is undertaking. Now, I'd like to go to Ms. Nicholas Osbert, Chief Water, Sanitation and Hygiene at UNICEF India. Mr. Osbert, UNICEF has been a great support to Swachh Bharat Mission and the Jal Jeevan Mission. What are your views on these programs, and how significant do you think these programs have been and are playing their role in the overall development of water in the country?
All right, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So yes, UNICEF, our mandate is children, and this is why we have a strong investment in water, sanitation, and hygiene issues. And these are very interesting times to be working on this topic in India, considering that a lot of those programs are flagship programs led by the highest authority in the country, and that's really interesting. And why UNICEF, we all know the link between water issues and children, right? The risk of children's health and development because of consumption of contaminated water. In the countries where we work, we estimate that 80% of all the diseases and over 1/3 of mortality are caused by the consumption of contaminated water, and on average, 1 person on 10 productive time is sacrificed because of water-related diseases. So it's not just about health; it's also about economic and social development. And children are particularly at risk because they are the most vulnerable to waterborne diseases. And what's happening in India is a game changer for children, but let's not shy and be complacent with all the challenges. As the water supply in India is mainly dependent on groundwater. And we heard the previous interventions, and this groundwater is increasingly under stress due to high demand from multiple sectors, domestic irrigation industry. India extracts more groundwater than China and the USA combined nowadays. That's the situation. So it tells also about the efforts and the very important initiative that we have heard before, like in Rajasthan or Ganga rejuvenation. And also India is one of the countries which is mostly affected by climate changes. It's part of the top 6 countries. We had 300 million people affected by droughts every year. And the underground water depletion went down by 4 meters in the past 10 years. So this tells about the urgency. And you have those reports from the Central Groundwater Board that only 50% of the blocks and the assessment units, blocks or tehsil or mandals, have groundwater in sufficient quantity and of prescribed quality. So that's for the issues. And now on the good news, it's those flagship programs. And for instance, I would like to mention the Jal Jeevan Mission, which is one of the most meaningful programs to really meet people's aspiration to safely manage drinking water. And the very interesting part of this program is that really the JJM, the Jal Jeevan Mission, stresses on empowerment of local communities, of local governance, to develop their own action plans, allowing them to select which groundwater and how to manage water resources. And we think that is key to this type of work at the grassroots level is important in all programs, and especially for the Jal Jeevan Mission, because this is about the sustainability of all the infrastructure that are being deployed in the country. So to answer your question, we are very happy to be associated to such programs, and we work in 15 states. And compared to others, we have our niche. We really focus our added value on the software components of those programs. So it's really this work on capacity development at the grassroots level, in GPs, at the community level, with some gender mainstreaming, because we see that when we empower women to take leadership in water management, there is a change at the grassroots level in terms of management of water resources. The software component that is very important, and my reaction to it's all the work around awareness raising and behavior change communication. As much as the Indian administrations and the institutions make a lot of efforts in addressing the issues, this work in really sensitizing the communities, making them lead the decision at the grassroots level, and changing behavior to adopt changes such as avoid spillage or accept the tariff setting. You know that this issue of water being free in several states is problematic. Water should probably be affordable but not free, because it has a cost, and all what the government is doing has a cost. So the first step is really here to mobilize community and to manage, operate, and maintain village water supply systems in every village. And this is where we really try to focus on the village water and sanitation committees. In places where those committees are active and empowered, we see a much better management, less wastage, and much more conducive environment for the government's program. In other places, those villages only exist in paper, and this is problematic. And together with those villages, with those committees, it's really the work of supporting communities to develop village action plans that is owned. And again, from our field experience, we could really see that such plan in the hand of a community makes a great difference to cover issues such as source sustainability, water supply infrastructure, grey water management, and operation and maintenance. So that's, in a nutshell, what we focus on, the development of these VAPs, and also to ensure that the annual implementation plans or the flagships include an IC or behavior change component that really works on community participation and behavior change to ensure that they understand what's at stake and they play their role fully, so that all the efforts of the government find an echo and are much more impactful. And finally, I will just end my intervention on another component of the Jal Jeevan mission that is being supported and that's crucial for children. It's the 100 Days campaign, which is currently ongoing. And this is to provide safe drinking water in every school and Anganwadi centers, schools in the country. And here we have seen really fast achieving state. I think like Rajasthan is doing very well, for instance. And this is also very important, of course, to provide to children a safe learning environment, but also, again, to start sensitizing children at an early stage on the issues of the environment, of how precious water is, and also on the hygiene practices to prevent, to ensure infection prevention and control. So that's my reaction in a nutshell, and more when we have the discussions with the audience. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Osbert. So I would like to ask you one more question and would request you to please share your comment in 1 minute. Do you think COVID-19 has left an impact on sanitation behavior in India and across the globe?
Yes, it has. It has because in many ways. So I'll try to be brief. One is it's the issue of the extension workers that are supposed to maintain the infrastructure, and we have seen a lot in the Swachh Bharat mission, those community sanitary complexes in places like, especially in urban slums, where we have crowded and we don't have enough space for individual toilets for household. People rely on those community complexes, and here we have seen a disruption of the service because nobody would dare going to clean the toilet, and they were not equipped and trained to do so. So yes, it has an impact, and also a slowdown of the phase 2 of the Swachh Bharat mission. There were great plans in the Ministry of Jal Shakti to really have a massive capacity development together with the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, and this has been delayed, so unfortunately. But it seems that things are back on track now with the reopening, and finally it's all the closure of schools as well, which is also a component of the Swachh Bharat mission, and here we have the Ministry of Education has been working really hard to prepare school for reopening, to ensure that the environment for children is safe. But again, more communication is required because parents are still afraid to send their kids back to school because of the fear of COVID. So in a nutshell, this is my response. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Osbert. Moving to Mr. R.P. Singh, Executive Director, HSSE, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. Mr. Singh, BPCL has implemented a series of initiatives, under, if I'm not wrong, the project Boond, right? So please brief us on this project. What are your views on this?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Harshal, for providing me such a wonderful opportunity to be there with this esteemed panelist. I think after hearing from my previous speakers, I think they have a tremendous exposure to the water handling, and the work they are doing is tremendous. And if you look at what we are doing, is because our core area is different. We are handling hydrocarbon, but part of hydro, which is related with the water, is also very close to us. And I'll give you a different exposure to the industry. Although we are in the business of hydrocarbon, let me share that one minute that what we are doing is so that we can correlate exactly how we are helping us in safeguarding the water. You know that BPCL is a Maharatna company. We are handling, last year the sale was around 44.1 million metric ton, and this sale we are doing through very huge infrastructure, having 2 refineries, 76 installations, 52 LPG plants, around 2,300 kilometer length of pipeline. So very huge network, more than 16,500 retail outlets, 6,100 LPG distributorship. So very huge infrastructure where we have to place for meeting our customer demand. So we have a very huge responsibility also to sustain environment. Water is part of it. So it becomes a very huge responsibility on all of us. But let me tell you, the industry is taking a number of steps, and BPCL has taken a number of steps on this. Basically, our principle is based on the triple bottom line. What we say, we take care about the people, planet, and profit. And the basic methodology what we have used for the water is, first is to reduce, then second is to reuse, and the third is to recycle. So how we can conserve and use very sparingly this water in our industry. Let me share the first part, how we reduce it. It's around 8.9 lakh square meter of area we are using for the rainwater harvesting. And through that, in fact, around 2,34,000 KL of water we are generating, we are basically making available through this rainwater harvesting. This is the 1% of our total freshwater consumption, what we are doing across the country. Second, what we have done is the basic maximum water is being used in our industry like refineries, Mumbai refinery and Kochi refinery, 2 refineries are there. You can imagine around 35 million KL of water we are using the seawater. So we are reducing the use of fresh water. And this is, we are using it at very heavy cost of technology, because we are using the metallurgy in our processing in such a way so that we can make use of seawater, which is very corrosive in nature. But in any case, because we are determined to safeguard the fresh water, so we decided to use this technology, this metallurgy, although it was very huge cost to us. But intention was very clear that we will go to the environment, we'll use minimum fresh water. And if you look at the processes what we have used in our refinery, which are actually the water guzzlers, say fresh water we have reduced 9.05% per ton of throughput. Say last means whatever we have used earlier per ton of fresh water we have reduced by 9.05%, and that's what our intention is every year, how we can reduce this fresh water consumption per throughput. Overall, if you look at from the last year, we have reduced 4.69% of fresh water by using different methodology. Say rainwater harvesting is one part, like it has reduced 1%. Similarly, what we said, the processes what we have used in refineries so that we bring down the use of fresh water. So one was the reduction. We are finding out every ways and means to reduce the consumption of water, and primarily technology is being used for that. Then the second part is reuse and recycle part. Say, I'll tell you, refinery basically they are using the maximum water. So how we are making all effort to recycle and reuse. So basically, I'll tell you the processes what we use, and if you compare with the previous year reuse of facilities, around 6.85 million KL of water we are reusing in refinery. So that what we are, you can say we are avoiding the fresh water use. Second is even the sewage water, we are treating it. One of the example I can give you in Bombay, in Mumbai refinery, we have collaborated with the Rashtriya Chemical Fertilizer, and we have set up a facility of sewage treatment plant of around 22.5 million liters per day. And the BPCL share is around 6 million liters per day. So every means and ways we are looking at that how we can reuse it or recycle it. So that's what we have done in this part. And now coming to the project Boon, what you have asked me, what the detail of this project, I'll tell you. Under CSCR activities, this project Boon we started in 2010, and we started with 4 villages. But as of date, we have transformed around 280 villages, and we have made them water positive. Till March 2020, 280 villages we touched and we made them water positive. In addition to that, we have also taken a project of cleaning Ichamati River in West Bengal. 10 kilometers stretch we have taken, and we are doing the cleaning of this river so that this will reopen the scope for fishing as well as provide water for cultivation and production of organic manure from the vegetation removed from the river. That's what we are doing in this Ichamati River. So in a nutshell, what I can say is the company has taken up regeneration of urban water bodies also, as well as cleaning of semi-urban rural water structures through a balanced combination of direct intervention, involvement of local government, what we say, Shram Dhan by local community. So although we are an industry which is handling hydrocarbon, which is basically known as a polluting industry, but we are taking each and every step so that we remains responsible towards our environment, especially in the water also. So these steps we have taken, and definitely what you said, such type of action for the society, for the use of water through different NGOs, we are taking, finding out all opportunities, how we can maximize this awareness and regenerate these water bodies around us wherever we go, say wherever we put up our projects or installations. Thank you, Akshay.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. R.P. Singh, Executive Director of HSSE at BPCL. Before I go to
Harsh, just a minute. Harsh, sorry, just a minute. Can you provide us opportunity? We have a AV on water for 45 seconds. If you permit me, I can show to my esteemed panelists.
If it's taking 45 seconds, then it's okay, sir. Please. Yeah. Please.
I think
Okay, I believe this is not working. I
Yeah,
would
yeah, I think
request
this.
you please
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
it.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and before I seek closing remark from Mr. Ashok Kumar Singh and Mr. Mahajan and other, I would request everyone to please listen to Mr. Rachid Krifi, Area Sales Manager, Autograph GmbH, Germany. He has a very small presentation to make, and I would request Mr. Krifi to please have this presentation in about 7 to 8 minutes. Over to you, Mr. Krifi.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for receiving us as Graph Company. And I will start now with my presentation. Just 1 second, please. Oh, hello? Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
Now?
Not yet.
Now? You see the presentation?
No, sir.
Oh.
You have a share button at the bottom of your screen, and then you need to share, and then you can share your complete screen also. Yes. I think now, yes. Okay. Yes. All right. Sir.
So we are a German company based in the south of Germany. We have experience more than 50 years. So here is our headquarters, as you can see, in south of Germany. We are developing and manufacturing a range of products for water resource management and providing solution for protecting water resources and preventing flooding. You can see here our portfolio, product portfolio. We are doing rainwater harvesting solution for above ground. We have also for underground. We have stormwater management solution. We have wastewater treatment solution for small houses, and we have separators and also composting and garden products. Here you can see our rainwater harvesting tanks for underground as an example. We have also rainwater harvesting for above ground. And we have really good experience in stormwater management. And now why I'm talking about stormwater management, because we have started to cooperate in Chennai with our partner there, company KSR, and we have started already to do some projects. As you can see, we started with our first.
I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Krifi, but I think you're changing the slide, but we are not able to see the slide changes. We are seeing only one screen, the first slide here.
So I will do it easier, I guess, like this.
Yes. Now it's
Is it
changing.
okay?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So again, this is our product portfolio. As you can see, we have rainwater harvesting solutions for above and underground. We have stormwater management solution and wastewater treatment solution for small houses, and separators, and composting and garden products. This is an example of what we have in our products. We have tanks for underground to collect the water, and we have tanks for above ground. We can do it as design products, but two possibilities: collecting water and have a small design at home. And we have our stormwater management products. As I mentioned before, we started already to work in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu state, with our partner KSR, and I will come back in my presentation. So we started to work in stormwater management in 1999 with our first product, and we always develop more new products. So because as you know, we are not only working in Germany, but working in all the world. So we try always to improve our logistic and also the functionality of our products. This is the product which we have already used in Chennai. It is a small box. Normally, you can build a tank with lot of part of this product. It is easy for installation. You can it is normally 50 years lifetime compared to other products like concrete, and you can build the tank as you want, and you will see the capability of the product is approximately up to 60 tons. That means for a parking area, if you want to build a tank under the parking area, it's not a problem. And the volume of one piece is about 225 liters, and the weight is about 10 kilo. That means for installation, it is really very, very easy. You don't need really knowledge to install it. The second product is EcoBlock Lights. This is normally for green areas. You can install it in green areas underground. And as you can see, is similar to the first product, 225 liters as a capacity, and the weight is 7 kilos. Here you can see in one container, we can put approximately 1,345 pieces in a container like this. And if we send it to India, for example, you can build a tank of approximately 300 cubic meter, which really normally it's not, we are sending material and not air. Here you can see how you receive the pallet. So you take the product easily and you can build it like this. It's really very easy. Here you see Graph Center expertise for raw materials. So that means we are producing our raw material by at Graph company. So that means we are responsible for the high quality of our products. So we started to receive the raw material. So we make an analysis, and after this we clean and make a granulate from this raw material. And after this, we analyze the mechanical properties of the material. And after this, we take this material to make our products in our injection molding or rotomolding machines. And after this, we take from each production samples to make a test, and finally to get a high quality product. As you can see, we are ISO certificate. We have the ISO certificate from DEKRA in Germany. And we started, as I mentioned before, to work in India, in Chennai, with our partner KSR. And we started to offer our excellent solution. The idea was to build some shafts or small tanks along the street. The functionality of this is first to feed the groundwater and to prevent the floods, and also to maybe to reuse the water after. So that means with this product, you can collect the water first. That means you will not have water on the top of the street. And the second, you will reuse the water after, because the water will go to feed the groundwater level. and after a while you can use this water. And you can see here a sample which we have done with the Greater Chennai Corporation. It looks like this. First we have gravel cell on the top, which which normally the water come in and go inside, and water will be infiltrated. You have it as this in this design or in this design. You see here an example of one of our installation. It is a parking area, and you put our products with geotextile inside of the tank, and you see after how it looks on the top. That means the water come in and it will be infiltrated. Here you see some example of projects worldwide. We have done in all the countries, in all the continents. And for huge projects, you can see here we have an example of 600 cubic meter tanks in Spain. You see how big the capacity you can use for such projects. And here you see another project in Italy. It's about 550 cubic meter. And what I want to say is we started now to cooperate with Greater Chennai Corporation, with our partner KSR, and we are really ready to offer our excellence offer of solutions to all the states in India. We will be happy to work together and to cooperate with you. So thank you very much. If you have questions, please feel free.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Rashid Krifi, Area Sales Manager, Autograph GmbH, Germany. Thank you so much. I would request you also to share this presentation with the ILETS team so that we can circulate it to among the esteemed speakers. So here was the presentation by Autograph GmbH, which is into manufacturing of a number of an extensive range of products for water resources management. And thank you so much for participating today and updating on your products and technologies. So now, since we are about to close the session, I would like to get a closing remark by Mr. Ashok Kumar Singh, Executive Director, Projects. Sir, over to you.
We had a very nice panel, and nice ideas have been shared. One thing which I would like to say that to have a very successful sustainable water management, besides whatever activities we are doing in our individual fields, we need to have a respect for water. Most of us treat water as a commodity. We have to move beyond that. The water basically sustains life, and anything which sustains life cannot be just a commodity. However, this respect, we will have a better sense of using the water and sense of gratitude also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, and thank you so much for support this program and helping ILETS Sector Media in conceptualizing such an amazing conference, and where we have gotten participation from several leaders from across the country. Do we have Mr. Naveen Mahajan with us? I would like to seek his closing comments. Mr. Naveen Mahajan, your closing comments, sir.
I think it's been very productive listening to all the esteemed speakers, and even the panel, it's very diverse. You people from the government like me, or from Namami Gange project. You have the distinguished guest from UNICEF, also from an oil company, even So it's a very diverse spectrum which you have brought on table together on this very contemporary theme. So I feel put together, this is a very relevant topic. How do we, start doing some sort of an aggressive IEC on the need to go for sustainable water management?
Right.
As you yourself pointed out, I was hearing Chairman Central Groundwater Board. With 4-5% of resource, we are going to handle about 17% demand. So there is a huge mismatch even at the national level. So time is very opportune that we heavily invest in initiatives that eventually take us to sustainability. And rather than we talk about only about new water projects and do capital investments in water projects, we should also do a thorough cost benefit analysis on how we go about rehabilitating whatever we have created in the last decades. So the entire project profiling, it needs to be done on a case-to-case basis. The leakages, they need to be plugged. Need-based rehabilitation, it has to be the way forward, and uh, a national shift, it has to happen because irrigation is the major culprit, be it groundwater extraction or deployment of surface water resources. So we have to rationalize irrigation purely on scientific grounds. And the way forward is definitely heavy use, extensive use of drip and sprinkler. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahajan. Mr. GC Pant, GC Pati, Chairman CGWB, I would request you for your closing comment in about a minute, sir.
Okay, it was a very nice and laconic discussion from the expertise in such a wide variety of fields already. So the closing remark will be that we need to conserve, rejuvenate, recycle and reuse water if you want a very water secure future. Again, I will say that for augmentation of the resource, our the source rainwater, which is more or less constant over the so many decades, even if the climate change concern is there. So we have to now focus on recycle and reuse. We should have religiously, we should have the STPs and ETPs, etc. And we may try to actually in several means, if not exactly drinking. So that is the only way. Otherwise, we will not be able to meet the water demand, which is increasing day by day, and our water per capita availability is reducing. So that is the only way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. GC Pati. With this now, we will have to we will close this session formally here. And before we do that, we would like to once again thank everyone, and a special request to Mr. Krifi to share his presentation with the LETS team so that we can share it with other esteemed speakers and delegates. And thank everyone. A big thanks to Ministry of Jal Shakti for supporting this entire program. Thanks to all the panelists. As a token of appreciation, we'd like to present certificates to all the panelists, and I request my team to please bring those certificates on the screen. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashok Kumar Singh, Executive Director Projects, National Mission for Clean Ganga, Ministry of Jal Shakti.
Thank you, Achal.
Thank you so much, Mr. GC Pati, Chairman, CGWB, Government of India. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahajan, Principal Secretary, Water Resources, Government of Rajasthan. Thank you, Mr. Nicholas Osbert, Chief Water Sanitation and Hygiene, UNICEF India. Thank you, Mr. RP Singh, Executive Director, HSSE, BPCL. And thank you, Mr. Rachid Krifi, Area Sales Manager, Otto Grab GmbH from Germany, for participating in this program. So with this, we formally now close this session. And once again, thank you everyone for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
भारत एक युवा देश है। विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं और ये मेरा साफ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट इज इक्वल टू इंडिया टुमारो।